people don't like to talk about death. They actually do a lot of the time if they're approached about it in the right way. And people will tell you kind of their deepest feelings, their deepest loss, their most recent interaction with death, the funeral, someone they know died. And people really appreciate the willingness to have that conversation in a way that's not shame-based or uncomfortable, that frankly just comes down to listening.
Yeah. Welcome back, friends. This is Actually I Can. I'm Katie Ripp, and this is season 2. Last season, we talked about everything and to everyone, about all the ways we're trying to build life and business on our own terms. This season, we're diving a little bit deeper into the women's playbook. We're talking about those old rules we were handed. We're going to toss them out and write new ones that actually work for us. We're talking about quitting the grind, claiming our worth, celebrating wins that actually matter, and leaning into community instead of competition. Around here, we believe that the best businesses, and lives for that matter, aren't built alone. So grab your coffee, pull up a chair, and let's go. I am fascinated with death.
Great.
I lost my father-in-law early on. He was only 59 when he died, and it was super unexpected.
Yeah.
But I've also been to, I don't know, maybe 50 Catholic funerals.
Wow.
Right? Like just a lot of people in my life have died. I mean, we all die. Right?
That's true. Yes, I can confirm. we all will die.
Yes.
Yes.
But I think that it's just one of those topics that people don't really love to talk about. It's scary, and I don't know what just uncomfortable for people to talk about, even like around money and inheritance and what we're doing after we're gone. But mostly like I had to like pull teeth to get my parents to tell me what they wanted to do as like a celebration of life. Like, you know, of course we're Catholic, non-practicing, all of us. But like the idea is that we would always have like a traditional Catholic funeral. My father-in-law had like the most traditional Catholic funeral, right? Like we had a wake that we stood in line, you know, like people stood in line for hours. You know, we had a visitation before the actual funeral. Then we had the funeral. Then we went to the burial site. Then we had a full-on church basement lunch.
Yep.
But things in my lifetime even have shifted so much. And from the pandemic, like a totally different industry altogether, it feels like. I have always sort of wanted to own a funeral home. Fascinated by it. Not own a funeral home, but you actually
we're in the
that.
mix.
Yeah,
we're in the mix.
You're in the biz, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so because I'm fascinated by this, I wanted to have you on, and I've been following you for a long time since shortly after you started, which I would love to just hear what Good Mourning is, how you got it started, why you started it. I'm fascinated by the business of it, but also like, how are you having conversations around death? Who's reaching out to you? Give it to me.
Yeah. So the shortest version of how we got started, because there is no one moment in time where the stars aligned and there was lightning from the sky and all of a sudden we had a business. But myself and my 2 other co-founders, Helen and Lydia, all worked together, became fast friends. This was kind of at the tail end of the pandemic, the height of it at least. And we were just talking, as friends do, started talking about our experience with death, with funerals, kind of how that experience was a little bit different during the pandemic when people couldn't gather or chose not to in a lot of places. And then talked about how we thought maybe we could do it better and we could help people do it better. And you know, after that, took a deep dive, as one does, into the internet, try to figure out who else is doing this, you know, where is the industry now? What are the things that are changing? You know, where do we feel like we could fit? You know, are there people doing this in our area? Which, you know, there weren't at the time. And so we really just thought we could take our event skills, our compassion, our empathy, and help people plan individual, unique, custom, personal celebrations of life, memorials, living wakes, you know, anything in that space. So, you know, we're really pride ourselves in not coming to people with a, you should do this, or this is what's done. It's really a, what do you want? How can we help you create this event, this gathering, this ceremony, whatever it might be, to match really what you think it should be and you feel like is right for yourself or for your family member. And that can mean a lot of different things.
Yeah, you said living wake.
Yeah.
I need to know about that. But also, one of the questions that comes to my head immediately is, are you working with people after the death of a loved one or before, like pre-planning? I'm assuming both.
Yep,
but
both.
Like if I want to plan my own celebration of life, can I do that with you? Get that planned up and go forward. And then I guess in the funeral industry, I mean,
we call it death care, end of life.
Death care.
You can there's some new lingo floating around.
But before, was it called funeral?
Yeah.
Biz? Mm-hmm. So that industry is like an immediate, urgent industry, right? Like somebody dies and then the funeral home is like the next call, right? What does that process look like for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, the beauty of our style of events and of gathering is it doesn't have to be right away. And, you know, part of what I always want to make clear is people have been doing this for a long time. We're not the ones to think of any of these things, right? Okay. People have just been shoestringing it, right? Yeah. Or, oh, I have a friend who, you know, does this type of thing that can help out. Or, oh, my tech savvy, you know, niece or nephew is going to help with this piece of it. And, you know, you just find your family and you figure it out, right? So none of this is necessarily new, but we're hoping to kind of empower people to say, hey, you can do this whenever, however, wherever you want. So it doesn't have to be within, you know, 2 weeks. It can be on, you know, the 1 year anniversary of someone's death. It could be on their favorite holiday. It could be on their birthday. It could be any of those things. And it could be anywhere. Oh, I have goosebumps. So the way that you think about a wedding or a birthday party, you know, it's basically the same level of attention and of personal choice that we want people to have in these end of life events. So that could be somewhere really meaningful to you, you know, somewhere that you volunteered or your loved one really loved to go, a special place. And we're there to provide that support to help make it happen in a way that doesn't make it challenging, because everyone is not an event planner.
Right.
That's fine to ask for help for this. You know?
Yeah. It's okay to not have this as a second job or a side hustle.
Right. It's totally normal and understandable that you would want someone to check the catering order, to make sure the tent's big enough, to go through the timeline, to coordinate with the vendors, you know, do all of that stuff, because you don't have to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, the more we just open up this conversation about it, the more people get comfortable talking about it. And people, you know, probably have preferences, whether they've put them in writing, whether they've told anyone, who's to say.
Right.
But, you know, once you start talking, people, well, no, actually, I don't want, you know, this big party, or, you know, I'd feel more comfortable if people did X and Y. And I think just letting people have those conversations in a way that's open and not starting from a place of, well, here are the 7 things you do. What song do you want? Yeah. You know, like
what flowers do you want?
Which of these 4 hymns are your favorite? And there's a place for all of that too. There's a place for tradition. We're not necessarily a either or, we're an and. Yeah. That's how we talk about it. So yeah, I just think the more we talk about it, the better off we all are.
For sure.
As we've established, everyone is going to die.
Yes. Can you give me an example of like something that you've done that would have been like necessarily either out of the box, or somebody that like actually had the conversation that maybe wasn't interested in having the conversation before they met you?
Yeah. I think the best example we have is an event that we're actually working on that's coming up in a few days, which is a living wake. So here you go.
Yes. Tell me about this. I've never heard of this and I'm fascinated.
Yeah. So it's, you know, I don't want to call it a trend because that feels trivial, but it's something that a lot of people are looking into doing and figuring out how to do. And that's generally people who know that they have a shortened amount of time before they are going to die, whether that's, you know, life-limiting illness, terminal diagnosis, you know, someone just up there in age and they kind of know, you know, you don't have an unlimited amount of time. None of us do. But have a sense that they're going to die in the nearish future and want to do something that brings their family, friends, everyone together while they're still here. And people say that all the time, just as an aside, when you're at a funeral. Well, you know, when's the last time we all got together? Oh, I wish they were here, you know, to hear all of these lovely things. Oh, I wish I could have told them, blah. Mm-hmm. So it's really acting on that instinct to do that while someone's still here. And this particular person has ALS. So that's really unfortunately one of those diseases that you do kind of know what's coming.
Yeah.
You know, you might not know the exact timeline, but you know that it gets progressively more difficult to participate in activities, to do these types of things. And the family hired us because, you know, they had talked about wanting to do something and thought, oh my God, that's, you know, exactly what we want to do, but we don't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is truly the perfect scenario for us to be able to be helpful in that space is someone who is caretaking for a spouse, who has children, who has all of these other things going on. How are they going to find the time to plan something?
Yeah.
Right. And they would have figured it out, but not with the amount of attention to detail and the help and the thoroughness that we can provide. And so what we're working on now, and I smile as I say it, is a royal roast. So he just like is the life of the party, hysterical person, just so funny, and wants everyone to get up and tell like their best jokes about him, their funniest stories, like antics, the whole 9 yards. So we're going to have that. We're going to have a friend of theirs doing the MC work. And, you know, we have little takeaway Christmas ornaments with his photo, and they're in little casket gift boxes.
Oh my God.
Like
stop
it's really like the best of all of what we do, which is he's going to die either way. His family is going to have this horrible time either way. We can help and we can give some light to it. And we can be the fun people that he looks forward to something, that it's not, you know, just drudgery to the end, that it's something fun and exciting that he can look forward to, that we can be helpful to make it all smooth and get people together. And it's just, I joke with Helen and Lydia all the time of like, every time I look at the photos, I start to cry. And that's just how we are, right? It doesn't desensitize you.
Yeah.
Like the more you talk about it, it doesn't take away any of that emotion. It doesn't make you any less sensitive to it. But you're able to at least process it in the way of I'm part of the helpers, right? I'm part of the people making it easier, making it more fun, making it better.
Yeah,
because
what
it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
I like totally have tears in my eyes thinking about that particular celebration of like, I mean, I don't like, I'm really emotional right now. Like, what an amazing service to provide, but also like for him. And I'm assuming that nobody will miss it. It won't be like an RSVP to a wedding, like, oh, I don't want to go because it's this or whatever. Like, we all want to be there for the end. Mm-hmm. And I've had conversations with people around like going to funerals, right? Like nobody really knows the people that are there now know, you know, that's who it's for, not necessarily the person that's passed, right? But like you say all these wonderful, amazing things and have all of these memories, and they're not there to enjoy them. So what a service that you're providing. Yeah. I had never heard of a living wake. Is that like you said, I mean, I don't want to trivialize it by saying it's a trend, but I'm guessing that's like a newer thing. It's
something we're just hearing more and more about, people wanting to do it, especially people with a terminal or life-limiting diagnosis. And it's just really, I think, a lot of factors. I think, you know, I don't know if people would necessarily process it this way, but I do. But things that COVID taught us about death and dying, and the want to gather, to be with people, to be physically present with people when you can, to connect in that way, I think was one thing that certainly people didn't realize had that much impact until it was gone. Yeah. And I think there's still reflections of that and echoes of that in so many ways, you know, that collectively we have a lot of stuff to get through still, even though people don't like to think about it. Can you believe it's going to be
5 years?
Oh, it's just wild.
I just can't believe 5 years has gone as fast as it did.
Yeah.
Even though that year felt like the slowest year on earth.
Right. Right. Yeah. We're still, I think, collectively processing and feeling a lot of those things. And I think some of this might be a reaction to that. I think younger people also really prize, you know, having those experiences. It's very experiential generation, you know, as people get younger. And I think people are starting to fall away from kind of tradition for tradition's sake.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's not to say that it's not still there.
I can do it however I want. I'm going to do it this way. And this is the way we're going to do it. Yeah.
I think people just understanding, you know, like I said, there's a place for tradition. For some people that feels comfortable and that feels like exactly the right thing. And that's wonderful. And for some people, they've kind of lost that connection to it and they want something different and they want to have
and we can change our mind.
Right.
Right? Like just because at 35 years old, you thought it was going to be one way, at 60, it might be totally different for you.
Yep.
I mean, my parents are a perfect example. Like, I don't think that they have plots. I hope they do.
You can check into it.
Yeah. I hope they
We'll
don't,
make you a
because I
to-do
feel like
list.
maybe I should know that if they do. I don't think they do. But, probably 25 years ago when they were married, that was going to be the thing. They were going to have a traditional Catholic, ceremony. And then we've talked about it and it's not what they want now. So things can change and it's okay to be that way. And again, there's a place for tradition too. And if that is your thing and you still want to do all of the things that, traditional religious ceremony does, great. Just like, my big platform right now is just like, know what you want to do and just do it. Right. Because nobody else is going to do it for you.
Yeah.
So if this is something you want, then do it.
Yeah. And we talk about, I feel like I should trademark this phrase, social permission.
Yeah.
We're here to help give you that permission that says, oh, I kind of had this thought and, I wasn't sure, is that something people do? Yes, people do it. We'll help you do it. And you can do that.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
And that's
and
okay.
Even if people have never done it,
right,
that also means it's fine.
Yeah.
You do it.
Right.
Like the first person that did a living wake was probably like, what are you doing?
Right.
But now it's going to catch on and it's going to be amazing.
Yep. Yeah. And I think it is the kind of the privilege of being an outside party, right? Sometimes people don't feel comfortable saying certain things to a family member. There's all sorts of relationships and background and messiness. Some people have the urge to protect their loved one. Well, I don't want to burden them with talking about my death. And that feels scary in this way, but they might say it to someone that they haven't met before who's asking them the right questions. And that's a great place for us to be, which is, we just want you to get what you want. We're here to help that happen. We're not worried about, the internal politics of family, friends, all that messy, lovely stuff.
We all know we all have that.
Yep.
So
everyone has it.
Yeah.
So we're just here to kind of be that, open book and open ears and be helpful.
Yeah. Tell me about the business part of it. So there's 3 of you, which is always, like I said, I work alone. It's better than I work alone. So I love that there's 3 of you. And I'm assuming you all have different skill sets that come together to make this beautiful Good Mourning. Tell me about how this came to be and how's it going and anything you've learned and all the business side.
Yeah, it's funny. We get that question semi-regularly because 3 is a large number to be running a small business. But yeah, it really starts from a place of trust. We worked together at previous work for all of us, but became friends through that and realized that we could disagree, we could have different opinions, but always come back to the place of trusting that even if it's not the same viewpoint, it's for a reason. And, just being very open to that because we certainly don't agree on everything.
Yeah.
Because we're human beings.
And we shouldn't.
Right.
Right.
So, and we have just very different skill sets. That certainly helps a lot. We're not always clamoring after the same things. Certainly I am the one willing to go on a podcast for and excited
which
to.
We appreciate.
Which is
and
great.
We would love to have Lydia and Helen on too.
And they would, one of them would not love to do that, but it works because of that, right? We have different skill sets, different work. And I think, a lot of it is just figuring it out as we go. We've been very intentional about kind of how we've launched. We did tons of conversations and research and meetings and things before we even started to think about maybe actually forming a business. And we don't take it lightly. We take it very seriously and we just keep those lines of communication open constantly in text, in Slack, in email. We're just always talking. And I think that just makes all the difference in the world of, the more you can communicate, you get the good, bad, the ugly out. You don't let things fester. And, that's how we make it work. And we all just are really in it for the right reasons, which sounds very cheesy, but
not to this girl. I love it.
Yeah. We just want to do good things together. And, it just helps to have that clarity of vision of there's no question of, someone's in it just because they want to be along for the ride. We all take great pride in our work. We all want things to go very well in every scenario. We always over prepare. We always do things 110%. And I mean, it's how we just
sounds
keep
like a
things
very
moving.
value-based, heart-led business.
Well,
which, of all the businesses in all the world, those are the ones I want to make it, right? Like, I want you to thrive and I want it to be like the best. As far as like business goes, the trajectory of people, has it like just snowballed into like, I'm assuming you're referral based, right? I mean, of course we have marketing and advertising and all of those things, but I'm guessing that this is going to be word of mouth forever.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. Referral based. Certainly kind of our main business is the event planning side, but we're also working really hard to connect people in this space, in this industry, in death care, in the end of life ecosystem, whatever phrase you want to call it. We recently held a networking event just for people in that space. So getting people together, hospice workers, death doulas. I know. I was going to say, I always say that and I pause. I wait for the reaction.
I know.
Okay, we'll come back.
I actually heard that.
Okay.
I mean, I certainly know what a birth doula is, and I had one. I need a death doula conversation.
There's all sorts of like fascinating stuff going on in this space. And for the most part, people are super open and welcoming. And, you know, we talk to estate planners and attorneys and financial advisors because, you know, if you're any, you know, they say any adult should have an advanced care plan, should have a will, should make their wishes known. And that requires more than one person, usually. You know, an attorney or someone who could advise you legally. A lot of times there's a financial planning aspect because you're thinking about, do you have the funds for what you want your end of life to be? And then, you know, there's hospice care, which, you know, is probably the way that most people kind of can tangibly understand the connection there. And then there's death doulas and other providers. And so really bringing that community together so that we all know each other. Yeah. And when you're talking with someone who's looking for XYZ service, I know someone who works in that area, you know, I can refer you out. So I think also just starting that conversation in the community of who all is out there, how are these people connecting? Can we help connect people again as the gatherers? We're just excited to see where that leads to because it feels like a gap in this space. And some other states have, you know, formal entities, collectives, nonprofits that help kind of connect everyone. But we're hoping to make that happen here in a way that benefits the people who need the care in whatever way need the care.
We all need the care.
Right.
Like eventually we're all going to need the care.
Right. It's the kind of thing, and you know, like people don't like to talk about death. They actually do a lot of the time if they are approached about it in the right way.
Yeah.
And I mean, it has been so interesting and so wonderful and meaningful to talk about Good Mourning just to whoever, because people will tell you kind of their deepest feelings, their deepest loss, their most recent interaction with death, the funeral, someone they know died. And people really appreciate the willingness to have that conversation in a way that's not, you know, shame-based or uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, frankly, just comes down to listening.
Yeah. Welcome to The Grove. This is where women like us grow together. This is not just another Facebook group or course you'll never finish. The Grove is a business and life community for women who are done trying to do it alone. Inside The Grove, you're going to find weekly Female Founders Collective meetups, which are always free, study hall co-working sessions to actually get those things done, money monthly meetings and workshops with guest experts, and a private community that feels like a built-in support squad. This is where strategy meets soul, where you can talk about invoices and imposter syndrome in the same breath, where you'll be seen and heard and cheered on every step of the way. If you've been waiting for a sign to plug into a community that actually gets it, this is it. Join The Grove today and start building your business and your life in alignment. In my coaching career so far, I have discovered that people we just need space. We need safe, brave space to be able to share our deepest, darkest fears without judgment. One of the things you said before was, you know, collecting all of these or curating all of these basically like heart-led business owners that will help with estate planning, that will help with financial planning, that will help with, death care and after life care and, leaving things, leaving a legacy and that sort of thing. I'm fascinated by that outside of the podcast. However, I can help with that. I want to be involved. Like,
Of course.
tell me how to do that. I love that so much. Well, first of all, how'd you come up with Good Mourning? I love it.
Thank you.
I mean, it's so good.
It was definitely, I think, from what I recall, we've been playing with a bunch of different names, trying to get the right tone. It's tricky. It's tricky for any business, but in the death space, throwing parties, it's kind of a confusing brand identity. So I think it was just kind of through those iterations, and I was in my basement playing with my son, and I remember sitting up and going, "Ooh, we've got it. We've got it. I've got it. Let's do it." And yeah, so and that really does encapsulate what we want to provide. It can be good.
Yeah.
We talk about, in the industry, in the space of death care, a good death. What does that mean? Right?
What does that mean?
One with comfort, one with care. I look back kind of at my formative experience with death, and that was growing up with parents who worked in hospice and palliative care. My mom also worked in the ER. So just a lot of real life stuff that I was being exposed to. And my grandpa actually lived with us for the last several years of his life and had a home care person come in, help him with everything. But, we were around too. And he died peacefully in his bed being cared for. And, I look back and he was 94. So he lived a good life. It wasn't traumatic, and it was something that didn't register at the time. I was a teenager, so wasn't necessarily thinking huge thoughts.
Yeah.
But I look back and think about, well, that feels like that was done right. That feels like he lived his life. He was cared for to the end. He wasn't alone. He was comfortable. And then for him, it was a traditional funeral, but back in his hometown and at the church that he helped build and, these wonderful things and with family. And that's, I think, what we would all hope for, given the option. Not that we get, we choices.
Don't get the option, right?
But sometimes we do. And I think that's just important to think through. And anyone who works in this space, I mean, my parents, anyone else I've talked to, they understand what that means and they understand kind of the alternative, right? That's the thing we're trying to avoid is the traumatic or not cared for or lonely death that, again, when asked, I don't think anyone would choose that, right? You don't always get a choice, but being more mindful about the things we do have a choice about.
Yeah. This sounds so weird. Who's your ideal client?
I think the ideal client is just someone with a mix of I know what I want and I'm kind of along for the ride.
Okay.
So having some basis of maybe they know they want it to be in this special place. Maybe they want a backyard party, let's say, right? But they're also open to us coming up with some ideas and saying, well, what if you did this? Would you be interested in, this type of ceremony or a way to tie things together? Or for the Living Wake, we're doing a little photo opportunity with a custom little tombstone that has his name on it because he thinks it's hilarious. So things like that where we can build together is kind of the most fun for us. And I think for the client because we're able to elevate, right? Take that idea and add something or take it in a new direction or find a way to do it in a way that feels, like what they're kind of starting to think about, but we're adding to it in a way that feels collaborative. And I think, again, it helps to have some starting point, right?
Yeah.
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think being able to build that together and kind of have that creative collaboration is where the most fun and the most magic can happen for people.
Tell me about your services. What does that look like? Because I know because I looked, but tell our listeners about your services. What does the process look like? Are there different processes for someone who wants to plan their own versus somebody who's planning a celebration of life for somebody else?
Yeah. So we can kind of, in terms of scope of service, we can do anything from full service planning. So that's from beginning to end, helping, I have a design background, so I'll help design programs and signs and get things printed and do all the vendor management, find catering options, get everything quoted, help with the budget, RSVPs. We can do it all the way down to if you just need a couple of people to attend that event and help make sure things go smoothly, we're happy to just do that too. So it kind of depends on where the need is, but we first, have an intake call, figure out where is the need, what do you have covered, where do you want coverage, and then kind of build custom from there. We say we have packages, but it really is all just a starting point to give people an idea of, well, how much could they do versus how much do I want or need? Because people find joy and a sense of meaning from being part of it. And we don't want to take that from anyone, obviously. If their, son or brother is, I want to do the slideshow because that would be really meaningful to me and I would love it, then that's fantastic, right? Yep. But for someone that's like, well, I just simply can't care about the catering. Great. We will care about it for you. Yeah. So I think there's just a lot of that back and forth of there's no kind of set plan or process from that perspective of it really is just where are those gaps that we can help kind of fill, and then how can we guide you through? And that truly just depends the size of the event, the timing, because, sometimes people do want to have something kind of closer to that person's death. If it's kind of that, you're thinking of that traditional scenario, right? Someone has died, they're making arrangements for the body, and then they're thinking through a celebration and they want to have it kind of within a month. That's going to change what we can do, right? And we try to be upfront about that versus my parent died during COVID and we need to still kind of do a ceremony and have an event to commemorate that. Well, we can be a little more flexible and, guide that with more time and intention. But yeah, that is kind of the beauty of it is we're just very adaptable and can plug in where needed and hands off where wanted. And again, just really listening. I mean, that is just the number one thing of trying to leave that door open to people and then help them walk through it and figure it out. And it's, family dynamics can be complicated, right? We try to figure out, who's kind of the money person, right? Like someone, even if they won't say it, someone has an opinion on the budget, right?
For sure.
So like that's a huge
also,
question.
if we're going to talk about death, we also need to talk about money.
Yeah. Like
not necessarily in that order.
Right. But it's there. It's an important thing, right? I mean, none of this is free as much as I wish it was. I mean, we talk about that too. It's a privilege, right? Not everyone has these options. Not everyone can throw a big party. Not everyone can pay for all the things that they want. But we also encourage people to find those little ways to find ceremony, which costs nothing, to, hold a moment of silence, to plant a tree, to, go to a special place and read a poem. There's all sorts of these ways that people can honor someone that don't cost anything or cost very little. So
pre-planning stages, like I want to plan my own celebration of life. I'm 46. I have no plans of dying anytime soon, but I want to take care of it so my kids don't have to take care of it eventually. Is that something I can pre-plan, prepay, done? Hey, you call Alanna, Helen, and Lydia when the day comes. Here's their information.
Yeah, it's complicated, right?
Yeah, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully
40,
it's 40
years from now. Exactly.
Yeah.
But we're happy to kind of come up with the outline. And we've talked a lot about how do we make this work for people, because it is tricky to prepay, pre-plan for things, right? So we don't necessarily want to have any prepay for our services or contracts with vendors or things that might not make sense in the future, but we are happy to sit down and go through and detail out what that looks like and give your family, your friends, whoever, that more specific roadmap of what exactly you were trying to create for them. And I think that does so much for people beyond having a burial plan or a cremation plan or whatever that looks like. We've talked with plenty of estate attorneys, and one said to us, which was so fitting, of people will say cremation, no funeral, big party. But that's a lot of question marks, right?
So many.
Right. So we can absolutely help narrow down what does big party mean.
Right.
And that might look like, having 2 or 3 options for a venue.
Yeah.
Or, what's really important is that we get all of these people that we'll list out. Here's kind of an invite list to work off of, but it doesn't matter to me what you guys eat.
Yeah.
Like, choose something you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right. So I think filling in.
I definitely want a taco truck at my.
Right.
At my
Exactly. Because some people care about food. Some people don't.
Yeah.
Some people care about the music. Some people
it's
don't.
Kind of like, it's not that different from a wedding.
Yep.
It's really not.
Really not. It really isn't.
Yeah. I care about flowers.
People cry
flowers.
at both. So we have a stash of tissues. That is something we keep on hand, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But I think just filling in the gaps of feeling like you have participated in a way that makes your family feel comfortable taking it the rest of the way.
Yeah. And there are other, I'm not an attorney, but there are other services. There are other products out there for saving for funerals, right?
Yep.
Like there's your irrevocable funeral trusts, and there's the estate planning that would give you an option to save this amount of money for this, with the intention of this is in your trust. But we have to have those conversations too, right? Like it's not just about the, cremation party.
Right.
It's we need to also talk about what happens the day you die. Right?
Yep.
Like what happens with the accounts? Where are all the passwords? Where are who's getting what? What's the next step?
Yeah.
So my dad is a financial planner, and over the years of, my childhood and all the way beyond, he sold life insurance for a long time. And so has seen sort of the ugly side of what happens when people die and either do have a plan or don't have a plan with their money. But it's not usually the money. It's not usually the big amounts of money. It's the friggin' dining room tables, right? That nobody talked about, that we didn't know that was going to be the thing that broke an entire family apart. So having those conversations beforehand is extremely important.
And there's a whole, and I talk about the industry changing and growing. There's a whole new service that, we've met with people who do this called after loss professional service. It's basically admins for someone going through finding all of the accounts, sending the death certificate off to 10 different places to prove that this person has died, going out to the banks and figuring out where were the accounts, how do we close them, what social media do they need shut down. It's a lot of just stuff.
Yeah. And I'm not organized enough as living human to be able to put that all together now to have somebody prepared when I go, right? It's a big job.
Yeah.
But also you have to make sure that you know somebody and trust them, because somebody that will that sort of after loss coach, after loss admin, whatever they're called, that could be a really vulnerable state to be in, and then hire somebody you don't know. Right. Or hire somebody that doesn't have great intentions. Right. Because, there's a whole bunch of vultures out there too. Right. So.
Yeah. And that's where we talk about this of the best gift you can give your family is preparing for these things. It will happen, whether it's, I feel like I should knock on wood, in 5 years or 50. It's going to happen.
It's gonna happen.
That's the one thing we know. And that's part of why people get so uncomfortable about it, right? They don't want to think about their own mortality. And I get that.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone has some level of denial. But if you think about the family, the friends, the people who will be left to take care of those things, you want them to be cared for in that way, that they have a plan, that they know that you don't have to guess, well, what would she have wanted? I don't know. And then there's an argument between people, right?
One sibling thinks she wanted it this way and the other one thinks she wanted it that way. And then the in-law is like, no, she told me over pizza one night that she wanted it this way.
Right, exactly. The more guidance you can give, the better. Yeah. And, I think, again, that's just part of what we want to get people talking and thinking about to their comfort level, and happy to meet people where they are. But just, knowing that, again, the difference between having a plan and not having a plan is huge. And even if you're not there to see it, just knowing they're okay, they have a plan, I did my work, it makes a huge difference.
Best resources for people right now?
Yeah, there's a lot online, and a Grace obviously is a big hospice provider. They also help with advanced care planning. They do free seminars on that, which I've gotten just to give you the starting point of what does a will look like? Yeah. What does an advanced care plan look like? But really find professionals that you trust. And that, again, goes back to the word of mouth, right? I'm positive, most people, if you ask someone in your life that you trust, have you worked with a lawyer? Is there an estate planner you trust? Is there a financial advisor? Someone will have a reference for you. It's truly pretty easy to find good providers that you're comfortable with.
You guys have a resource list, like a preferred professionals list?
No, it's something we need to work on for sure, because it is like kind of where do I start? I guess I'll go to Google.
Yeah.
But that's part of where we're hoping that kind of collective network can come into play, where we all build trust with each other and then understand kind of here are the people that we trust, that we work with, and that we feel comfortable referring people out to.
Right. It can start with cremation and a party,
right?
But then let's get all the other
exactly. What's all the other stuff that we can figure out, because it's a lot, and it is not like exciting to be doing that stuff for most people.
I'm excited about it. I'm like,
great.
Yeah. Now I will say I am the person that needs a will.
Yeah.
Right. Like, we need an estate plan. We need a will. We need a trust. We've got like 10 businesses that are just like floundering out here. We're just hoping we never die.
Right.
But that is not the case. So you have motivated me to get your resource list.
Yeah.
And tell me who to go to.
Yeah.
Which brings me to, how do people find you? What's the first step? Where can they follow along, get some resources, get some help from you guys particularly?
Yeah. We're on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook. Instagram's probably where we're most active. That's at Good Mourn. Don't forget the U.
Yes.
I always have to say that. And our website, goodmourn.com, has our email addresses. Obviously, reach out to me. I'm happy to, chat about anything, our services, what we can be helpful with, what we refer people out to, other services, and happy to just be that starting point for folks who are curious and want to talk more about it and need a listening ear.
Yeah, I love that. Big plans for Good Mourning?
Yeah.
What are the big, hairy, audacious goals for you guys?
I mean, we would love to be, I don't know if I want to say national, but we'll say it.
Yes, you say it.
We'll say it. We'd love to be a national resource for event planning and work with people all over the country. I think in an ideal world, we find a way to work with funeral homes as an extension, as a referral from them. That's a complicated landscape, but again, in that we truly mean we are an and service. We're not an or service. So being able to build that connectivity between service providers is really important to us, where families and people feel like they can go to someone and we'll hear the 4 other places that you should contact to get a full scope of what you want.
I am a firm believer in collaboration over competition, right? Like, there's just enough to go around, and you cannot emphasize enough of the abundance of this particular space, because everybody is going to die, right?
Yep.
Like,
you look at the baby boomer generation, that's what is kind of happening now, and it's not going to stop. So
ever.
The better.
People are never, ever going to run out of this part of it. Mm-hmm. It's just, can we get people more prepared to really leave a legacy of care for their family members, right? Because really, it is the people that are left behind that have to do the admin, the death certificates, and I've said this on a couple of different podcasts, but the biggest gift my father-in-law left, and he had no idea he was going to die. It was just a fluke, right? Like, he went in for heart surgery and it was just a fluke that he died. He just had a complication and he was gone the next day. But he had everything prepared. Everything. Passwords. His cell phone with the passcode set out, all the keys, all the, they had just bought his plot. Like, he had everything laid out. And the only thing she had to do was go out and get a bunch of death certificates and send it out. I mean, everything was done. It gives me goosebumps. What a gift. Yeah. And something that could have taken 6 months or a year, right?
Because you're also mourning and grieving on top of all of that. You're not,
and it was super unexpected.
Right.
So it was like, nobody could really wrap their heads around it anyway. But the fact that it was done, it took like 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's huge.
And aside from waiting for the taxes, there was just nothing left to do. And I know other people that have been, fighting with institutions for years over that. So, not to blame anybody that's not prepared, right? But at the same time, get prepared.
Right. Exactly. Try to make choices when you can.
Yeah.
When you have the bandwidth, I'm
Yes.
not here to lecture anyone.
Yeah.
Do what you can when you can. Just
and maybe
know
start
that
with the party.
Yeah.
Right. Like maybe
if that feels like a fun, tangible thing.
Yes.
Like, great.
It might open up the door for the stuff that like we've been avoiding for a while. So, and literally you've motivated me to plan my own celebration of life and maybe living wake, which means I have to probably do my estate planning.
Right. Great. This is good.
Great.
Yeah. It all kind of leads one to the other. And I think that's part of the ripping the Band-Aid off, right? Once you do one thing that's related to this, what feels like big, messy, complicated decision it just gets easier from there. When you've had one conversation about it, the next one is easier.
Yeah.
And we find that too and when we talk to hospice care providers or estate planners, after that first conversation, it's just so much easier. If you can just start talking about it.
I mean, really with any taboo subject.
Yeah.
Let's and it's almost like you just like take the shame off of it. There's like a weird, like a layer of shame or guilt or fear or whatever it is. And if you can just take that layer off, it just opens the door for the rest of it to be like, oh, this makes sense to talk about actually.
Right. You realize that, oh, I'm supposed to be doing this.
Yes. Yeah. Like I actually are all going to die.
I do need to take care of these decisions and this work. So, I mean, the sooner you start the conversation, and whether that's just looking around online, it doesn't even have to be a conversation, right? It can just be researching, do I know funeral homes in my area, or where do people get cremated in this area? Because you don't have to go through a funeral home. There's a cremation society. There's a tip for you. Or there's natural burial, which there's plenty of options there too.
Yes. My first podcast ever was with my friend Lynn, who's got stage 4 breast cancer, metastatic breast cancer. She came on and like talked all about death, her life and everything. She's already got her plan. And we were laughing that they're just going to like wrap up her body and put it in the back of her Prius and send it over to the place. What is the place? Is it outside of
in Verona?
The
Farley Center?
Yeah. So she's just like, her dog picked out her spot. And she's like, just wrap me up, put me in there and take me over there. And we're going to just like, they're just going to drop me off. It's going to be fine.
Great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Got a plan, right?
Yeah. The plan is the key.
Right. Yeah. And it is, we can't control all of it.
Yeah.
But there are pieces you can.
Yeah.
So let's focus on that. For you
control freaks out there, let's do it.
Yeah. Exactly. Do it while you can.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say to the listeners out here about this? Or
I think really I would just reiterate that this is a space and an industry and a community that is changing, that is growing, that is collaborative and open. So truly anyone who just wants to know what's out there, wants to start a conversation, we are part of that conversation, and we are not the beginning, middle, or end of it. We are just part of it. There are so many people who have been doing this work for a long time, who continue to do this work. And we're just honored to be a part of that community and excited to see where we can make a difference and help people feel good about the way that they celebrate their life.
Yeah. I'm just so excited to watch where this goes. I can just see you like talking to Hoda Copy.
I'm here for it. Let's do it. Do you have her on the line? Is that Hoda?
Yes. Oh, wait, Hoda. Let me get her quick.
Surprise guest.
Surprise. Oh my God. I love it so much.
Yeah, we're excited.
That's it for today's episode of #ActuallyICan. If something in this conversation hit home today, send it to a friend who's writing her own playbook too. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's next. And if you want a community where these conversations turn into actual support, come hang out with us in the Grove. The link's in the show notes. Until next time, keep rewriting those rules, keep celebrating your wins, and keep reminding yourself, actually, you can.